Just passed a bill to cut $40 billion from food stamps. That's a program that more than 1 in 7 Americans use right now. While 15 Republicans voted no on the bill, no Democrats voted yes. President Obama has promised to veto the bill in the unlikely event the Senate passes it. An update there. Well, the same holds true for Obamacare. Obamacare is putting you and me in a lose-lose situation, but there are some people who are winners, my friend. The public servants who helped craft the law by either becoming healthcare lobbyists, that is, or consultants for big business. With more on this, Paul Howard, senior fellow and the director of Manhattan Institute's Center for Medical Progress. Paul, welcome back to the show. You know, we see this revolving door all the time, but this is like unbelievable crony capitalism.
Absolutely. So you've got a 2,700-page bill passed by Congress. The people who are in the back rooms writing the bill know what it meant, knows what the administration's thinking, and they step out, and industry is obviously going to pay top dollar for that expertise so they can craft the implementation.
So they're making top dollar here. We've got at least 30 Obamacare authors on K Street. So these are people who labored, mostly unknown, to write and craft this bill. What kind of money are they making, and what is it they're telling these companies to do?
Well, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. What they're paying for is access and connections. They know the people who are still inside the administration, or they know the staff on Congress. They can pick up a phone call, talk to people, pass that advice along to their clients, and just say, this is what we were thinking when we wrote the law. This is what we think will happen. That gives them terrific strategic advice.
Well, you know, the MO on this law is that nobody understands it. And this would seem to speak to it, that they have to hire these folks in to explain it to the businesses who have God knows how many attorneys on staff to explain it to them, but they can't do it. Does this say something about the complexity of Obamacare?
Well, it says something about the bill, but it also says something about how highly regulated industries wind up being captured by the regulators, by the regulated industries, because you have this revolving door, big companies, big money, big lobbyists. They control the direction of the legislation.
Now, you said in the break, and I thought this was interesting, that you felt the law really benefits a lot of the vested interests here. How so?
Well, they supported it. So the hospital industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the insurance industry, they all benefit from an expansion of coverage. HHS came out with its projections for next year's health spending and health spending trends. There's an increase in healthcare spending. So think of it as industrial policy. We're going to be spending more money on healthcare. That benefits all the healthcare sectors.
You know, we had some polls, some Fox News polls this week. 68% of those surveyed concerned about their personal health under Obamacare. 54% want to go back to pre-Obamacare. And here we are enriching the people who essentially wrote the law in the first place. You know, I think the rest of the country has sort of moved on as they've become more intimate with the legality, with the details of this law. Is that going to get worse, do you think, as people see more and more of this? As we get through October 1st and the exchanges open, what do you think the public's going to feel about this?
Well, I think it all comes down to what the experiences of the people who are buying insurance. And what we're hearing now from places like the LA Times is very narrow networks, very hard to access specialists. You may get a lower price on some exchanges, but going to have a hard time seeing a doctor. A lot of people might rebel.
I know you don't like this law, but what do you think of the Republicans' effort to defund it?
I have concerns. It's a little bit like the charge of the light brigade, because it doesn't seem to be a strategy for getting beyond this point. You know, you've got a standoff. You've got obviously Democrats controlling the Senate. The president obviously is still in the White House. There's got to be an approach that moves beyond just fighting to the end for something that at this point is nearly inevitable.
As you look forward, you know, we've obviously got the exchanges coming online in October. The administration now trying to you know, not have expectations so high for what's going to happen there. What do you see in your crystal ball for the end of the year and January 1st?
Well, I think potentially we might see a little bit of a delay in the opening. The administration has started soft pedaling this and saying it's a soft launch. Some of the exchanges are not going to be open, have limited capacity. I think people are also going to have to look very carefully at the exchange offerings and say, do they have my doctors? Do they have the hospitals I want? Even if it looks like a cheap price to begin with, is it really valuable to me?
Paul, as always, fascinating to chat with you. Thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And another